Can you understand this story? Stay until the end to test yourself.
Maya had always dreamed of studying abroad, but she never imagined it would actually happen. When her university announced a language exchange program with a school in Barcelona, she applied immediately. 3 months later, she found herself on a plane, clutching her passport and trying to calm her racing heart. What if nobody understands me, she thought nervously as the plane descended through the clouds. At the airport, a cheerful young man held up a sign with her name written in colorful letters. "You must be Maya." "I am Carlos, your exchange partner," he said with a warm smile. His English was much better than her Spanish, which made her feel both relieved and embarrassed. During the drive to his family's apartment, Carlos pointed out famous landmarks and shared interesting facts about the city. Maya tried to respond in Spanish, but the words kept getting tangled in her mind. Carlos laughed kindly and said, "Do not worry, that is exactly why you are here." His mother had prepared an enormous meal to welcome their guest. The table was covered with dishes that Maya had never seen before. "In Spain, we believe that food brings people together," Carlos's mother explained. Maya nodded and tried everything, even though some flavors surprised her. After dinner, Carlos showed her the small room where she would sleep for the next semester. The walls were decorated with posters of musicians and football players that Maya did not recognize. She unpacked her suitcase and placed a photo of her family on the bedside table. Looking at their faces made her feel both homesick and determined to make the most of this opportunity. The next morning, Carlos walked her to the language school where they would study together. The building was an old mansion that had been converted into a modern educational center. Students from all over the world gathered in the courtyard, speaking a mixture of languages. Maya heard French, German, Japanese, and several languages she could not identify. Their teacher, Professor Vidal, was a tall woman with silver hair and a commanding presence. "In this classroom, we speak only Spanish," she announced firmly on the first day. Maya felt her stomach drop, but she noticed that other students looked equally nervous. The first week was incredibly challenging for everyone. Maya made countless mistakes, mixing up verb tenses and forgetting basic vocabulary. But Professor Vidal was patient and encouraged them to learn from their errors. "Making mistakes is not failure," she often reminded them. "It is the path to mastery." Slowly, Maya began to understand more than she expected. She started recognizing patterns in the language that she had not noticed before. Carlos helped her practice every evening after dinner, correcting her pronunciation with gentle suggestions. His younger sister, Lucia, often joined their study sessions and giggled at Maya's accent. Instead of feeling offended, Maya laughed along and asked Lucia to teach her slang expressions. By the third week, Maya could order food at restaurants without pointing at the menu. She even managed to have a brief conversation with the elderly woman who lived next door. These small victories gave her the confidence to push herself further. The exchange program organized weekend trips to nearby cities and historical sites. Maya visited ancient Roman ruins, medieval castles, and breathtaking mountain villages. Each trip provided new opportunities to practice Spanish in real situations. She learned that shopkeepers were especially patient when tourists made an effort to speak the local language. One afternoon, Maya got lost in the old part of the city. Her phone battery had died, and she could not remember the way back to Carlos's apartment. For a moment, she panicked, but then she took a deep breath and approached a street vendor. Using a combination of words and gestures, she explained her situation. The vendor understood perfectly and gave her detailed directions to the nearest metro station. Maya followed his instructions and arrived home safely, feeling proud of herself. "You are becoming a true Barcelona resident," Carlos joked when she told him the story. As the weeks passed, Maya's Spanish improved dramatically. She could now follow conversations, understand jokes, and express her opinions clearly. Professor Vidal commented that her progress was remarkable. "You have worked harder than most students I have taught," she said during their final evaluation. Maya blushed but felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The exchange program also included cultural activities like cooking classes and flamenco lessons. Maya discovered that she had absolutely no talent for dancing, but she enjoyed it anyway. Her cooking attempts were more successful, and she learned to prepare several traditional dishes. She promised herself that she would make paella for her family when she returned home. The friendship between Maya and Carlos grew stronger with each passing day. They shared stories about their countries, their dreams, and their fears. Carlos confessed that he had been nervous about hosting a foreign student. "I was afraid we would have nothing in common," he admitted. "But I was completely wrong." Maya agreed and realized that friendship could cross all kinds of boundaries. On her last night in Barcelona, Carlos's family organized a farewell party. Friends from the language school came, and even Professor Vidal made an appearance. Everyone danced, ate, and celebrated until late into the night. When it was time to say goodbye, Maya struggled to hold back her tears. "This is not goodbye," Carlos said, hugging her tightly. "This is just until we meet again." At the airport the next morning, Maya thought about everything she had experienced. She had arrived as a nervous student who could barely order coffee in Spanish. Now she was leaving as someone who had discovered that languages are bridges connecting hearts and minds.
Learn with LingoStories.app.